Boy, it's been a week as we close in on SummerSlam, and the go-home shows for SummerSlam coming up this week on Raw and SmackDown should hopefully make us a little bit more excited about what's to come next weekend in Minneapolis, Minnesota, because this past week just, I don't think, did it. And I've got a lot to say about it. I'm not going to try to just nitpick all the bad stuff. There is and are some bright spots, including Sami Zayn, who I think has made a really convincing argument that he should just be put in the title match. He had a hell of an argument on SmackDown. We'll talk about that. Really, not one that was long-winded, just kind of to the point and really undebatable. But nonetheless, there are some other things that made absolutely no sense. The women on SmackDown having, I don't want to say meaningless matches, but ones that are not very exciting. The crowd was not into a lot of them. Yes, there were some things at stake, given that the women's championship is up for grabs, with Rhea Ripley being temporarily on the shelf and not part of SummerSlam. So we'll talk about that and the continual just time loop of LA Knight and the Usos and Jacob Fatu, and then LA Knight and the Usos and Jacob Fatu. And we are just, I don't know what more to say about it, but we'll talk about that. We'll talk about some of the other stuff going on in WWE, some of the news going on. But first, I want to welcome you to the show and invite you to go to Patreon for ad-free experience at patreon.com/WWE podcast, because it's a huge week in pro wrestling. Whether you're excited for SummerSlam or not, it's still their second biggest show of the year. You could argue the Rumble is in there, but when you make SummerSlam a 2-night event mirroring the format of WrestleMania, it's kind of telling the audience, we want this to be the WrestleMania of the summer. And the card is pretty stacked. I said that last week and the week before, and I'll stand by that, despite my criticisms, and there will be a plenty of them in this show. The actual card, when you look at it, is pretty damn stacked. On top of potential big returns coming, is it going to be Kevin Owens? Is it going to be Drew McIntyre? Is it going to be Randy Orton? Is it going to be 0 of 3? Is it going to be 3 of 3? We don't know. We don't know. If I was to guess right now, I think the most likely is Drew McIntyre, and boy, is he needed on SmackDown in the worst way. But Kevin Owens probably the least likely, and I think Randy Orton's a close second to Drew, if not appearing as well at SummerSlam, and maybe some other sneaky returns in there as well. Of course, the full show for preview and predictions will be coming later this week. And what's going to be a jam-packed week because yes, it's SummerSlam. Yes, we have a lot of previews to do and news that's going to be coming out this week. But I do have to start with something that has been happening over the last couple of days that I'm kind of new to here. And that is one of the videos I put out. One of the videos on 2 days ago, whatever it was, on Friday, I think it was, talking about the news regarding Busted Open Radio. I said at the time, being acquired by WWE, probably not the right language. There's an agreement, not necessarily WWE purchasing Busted Open, but it went fairly viral, at least by my standard. And it didn't go viral, I think, in the general sense, but in the wrestling community, I think it may have crossed the threshold into borderline viral. If you're looking for numbers, and anyone can see that, it's over 100,000 views in just a day or two. So pretty good. I'm not here to boast about it. In fact, what I'm here to do is kind of respond to some of the reactions I've been getting about it. Some have been supportive. Some have been very much positive, but others haven't. And some just call me slurs or what. That's the internet. I don't care. I'm not here to respond to that stuff. But some of the more poignant arguments against the things that I've been saying about who cares. I've heard people say, who cares? And let's be clear, WWE has the Busted Open Radio under their banner now. They didn't purchase outright the rights to Busted Open Radio in terms of just purchasing them, and now they are officially permanently a part of WWE. No, there's an agreement by WWE and Busted Open to the streaming rights of Busted Open. So the net effect is pretty much the same. Even though they did not outright acquire or purchase Busted Open, the net effect is still the same. And I have not changed a thing about what I've said other than to just soften the language a bit regarding purchasing or acquiring versus just an agreement. Because it's significant. But again, my comments and my concerns about what we've heard regarding Busted Open Radio are still, I'm still stand by them 100%. And what I put out here, and I'll reiterate this, I'm not trying to make it story time here, but I do want to put out here what I said in a clarification statement because it's a pretext for what I want to talk about. I said, let me clarify. While it's true WWE has not purchased Busted Open Radio, the net effect is the same. I already said that, but okay. The agreement will allow WWE to control the narrative and suppress dissenting voices. They aren't looking to acquire new viewers or listeners. They are trying to gobble up the biggest wrestling podcasts and brand them as, quote, WWE Radio. Dissenting opinions and rants will be pre-approved. This is their attempt to manipulate the IWC. The truth is that all that matters. Don't let them sell you on their version of reality. And I've had some people respond back to that and whatever the case. But here's one. It says, you lost the narrative when you were trying to spread nonsense. If you don't like it, then don't listen. This has to be one of the dumbest responses. I don't care if that means it to be insulting. I mean, maybe it is. Who cares? You lost the narrative when you were trying to spread nonsense. What nonsense? What nonsense, Josh? What nonsense did I speak? And also, if I don't like it, then don't listen. That has been the weakest, really most, I don't know how else to put it, just retarded takes when someone says, well, if you don't like it, don't listen. You don't like it, don't watch. You don't like, okay. Well, then I guess none of us are going to watch anything because all of us have complaints about everything we watch all the time. Movies, sports, TV shows, go down the line, TikTok, shorts, Instagram. Every form of entertainment that exists currently on this earth as humans that we can consume, we all have complaints. So that narrative just gets thrown out the window because apparently this is only unique to wrestling fans that get this criticism. This is only unique to wrestling fans when you hear other people that aren't wrestling fans talk about wrestling fans. That, well, if you don't like it, don't watch. Do you do that with movies? Do you hold yourself to that standard with any TV show that you don't like? We all know the answer to that. So yes, it is a retarded take because wrestling fans do get that a lot and it's just stupid. All right. So, I mean, there's just so many other responses and I'm not going to really go through it all. This, I don't mean to make this a story time or a 30-minute rant about Busted Open, but I do think that it is something that needs to be discussed. And I may make a follow-up video or whatever about this because it's a bigger story than people really are not making it out to be. Maybe I've drawn some attention to it. Others have as well. And I referenced JD from New York and he has no idea who I am. And that's cool. I'm not trying to get his attention. I'm not trying to get his pat on the back. I don't care. I don't need his validation. He doesn't need mine. That's for damn sure. But he really was the one that was the catalyst for me to come on and create that video because I had saw the news about Busted Open being, or I want to say acquired, but they were put under the banner of WWE Radio. And I was like, oh, okay. Yeah, well, they're a big podcast. That makes sense. But until I really heard JD get into the deep nitty gritty of it, it didn't spark anything in me to create a video. And so, yeah, credit to him. And I know a lot of people don't like him. I don't care. He is exactly who he says he is. Whether you like him or don't, think he's a jerk or not, he is an authentic podcaster. He is a dying breed, as he said. And there are not many of him left. Guys like him don't. They aren't roaming around the earth in droves. Okay, he is a very much a unique guy, and he brings a style that I really love. I know that he bitches and moans and cusses and swears, and people think he does that for attention. He doesn't. I mean, he's very authentic in his rants, and I admire them. I do. I'm not trying to be like him. I'm not coming on here screaming and cussing. You'll hear that occasionally because that's how I feel, but I'm not trying to mimic him or try to be like him or get his attention or the, hey, look at me or pick me mentality. No, I don't give a shit about that. But I will say that I appreciate his inspiration or his take and his call to action for those of us that are independent podcasters that have no ties to WWE and put the truth at the forefront of what we say. And that's the last point I'll make before I get into more specifics about this week in WWE. I promise we're getting to SmackDown, we're getting to Raw. But the real focus here and the point of from all of this is truth. It's not trying to serve a master that is going to slap your hand if you say something that makes their tummy hurt. It's about coming out here and saying what you believe. And this, you could apply this not just to wrestling, of course, you could, any facet of life. If you're a content creator, you're not trying to hopefully curate reality to what you think your listeners want to see. You're just doing whatever you want to do. And you're doing it in a way that is just who you are, whatever that is. People can sense bullshit pretty quickly. People can tell when you're not being real with them. And there is a lack of authenticity just across the board. Yes, in wrestling podcasters, that's for damn sure. I would like to think I'm branded as one of the ones that just don't give a shit and tell it like it is with absolutely no ties or masters to serve. I don't care. I'm going to always tell you like it is forever. That is, if I ever break that, I will stop doing podcasting, or I hope someone calls me out on that because it won't happen. But there is a really war on truth, and I'm not trying to plug my other podcast, which I need to update. I know, but there is a real war on truth going on that the powers that be, whether it's the overlords in WWE, our cultural overlords, our government overlords, they like to make sure that the narrative is controlled and that the dissenting voices are silenced. Not everyone all the time, but there's a general problem going on. And it's not excluding wrestling podcasters. I know I'm going real narrow here, but it is a much larger issue. And the truth, and I'll come back to wrestling, the truth in wrestling commentary is paramount. Because if we're not, we're all just talking out of our ass, telling people what they think they want to hear, or being nice in our opinions to make sure that we're pleasing those that may be listening, that maybe will get a sponsorship, or maybe WWE will bring me on if I'm nice enough and I don't criticize their product. That's, to me, selling your soul. Because then you have taken what you truly believe and twisted it into what someone else wants to hear. You have bowed to your master. Well, I mean, I don't know how else to say this, but fuck that. That's not happening here. It's not happening, I'm sure, with JD or other podcasts, not too many others anymore. But he is right in one thing. It has now become just a reaction streamer world. That's how the wrestling podcasts have kind of gone, is reaction streamers. And not all of them are bad, but there are some inauthentic ones, or you can just kind of tell, even though they have a large audience, you can kind of tell who's truly being real and not. And I'm not calling out any names. There are some I like, and I will say who I like. That's not bad. Santi Zap, I like him. I think he's sometimes a little too soft, but I like him. He's good, and I'll leave it there. So there's some other ones. We all know who they are. Men and women, not too many of the female ones, but the female ones, especially the larger ones, particularly ones with blonde hair, are, I think, just totally fabricated and trying to also always play the victim. But nonetheless, there's a little dirt to stir up. Who cares? All right. So I wanted to get that out there. the Busted Open story, and don't think that's the end of it, though. If you think that's the end of it, of WWE trying to put their fingerprint and play puppet master on any large wrestling podcasts out there, if you think that's the end of it, you're sadly mistaken. And if you believe truly that you're going to now hear real, authentic, unfiltered, unsupervised rants by Dave LaGreca and his crew, you're not paying attention. They and credit to them, they obviously are huge. They busted their ass to get to where they are, and good. I actually admire them. But let's be real. There is no other reason WWE would try to have any agreement with them other than to make sure that what they say, if there are negative things that are going to be said, that they're run by those powers that be before things are said. If you think they're truly going to criticize things about WWE under the WWE radio banner now, you don't understand how business works or just human beings work. You can hear all the bullshit you want from Dave LaGreca. And again, very talented guy, successful. I'm happy for him. But when it comes to authenticity and the fact that if you are being sold a bill of goods, that you're going to get the same authentic rants, which I think were subsidized anyway, or rather kind of softened anyway, you need to wake up. That is not how business works. It's not. There is no incentive for WWE to make any agreement with Busted Open other than that. There is nothing. Because as I've said, they already have a built-in audience. The audience listening to Busted Open is already a WWE fan. They're already watching the product, which is why they tune in to listen to the commentary from the team. There is nothing to be gained other than that. So that tells me that when they say, like Nick Khan, no, we don't pay attention to the negativity, we don't even listen to it. Really? No, you don't? Again, is that why you changed the WrestleMania main event of WrestleMania 40? You brought back R-Truth. Kairi Sane was brought back. Anything else? I mean, yeah, of course you do. You guys listen. But here's what this tells me, and this is the bottom line, and I pinky promise I will move on to SmackDown, and you guys can say, my God, he started the show with a 20-minute rant. Not my show, right? But this is all you need to know. When they tell you that they don't even pay attention to the negativity online, and then their actions speak otherwise, that tells you they are deathly afraid of giving us any kind of power, because they know the power that we have as not just podcasters, but as a collective unit. We have the power to shift the optics of how the general public view TKO and WWE, which ultimately means potentially their stock price, ticket prices, revenue. It's a downstream effect. We have a lot of power, and they don't want to enable us to use that power. Fuck them. Do whatever you feel is fair and honest. When it comes to criticizing or praising, I think there's two sides of the coin that need to be fairly shown here. But when you are thinking how it's not, if they say they don't pay attention, if you feel disincentivized or discouraged from complaining or saying that something could be better because an executive in that company says they don't pay attention to it, what do you think he says that for? Of course he's going to say that to discourage and dissuade people from saying anything. Fuck them. They're lying to you. That tells me they are fearful of you. They fear criticism. Fuck them. All right. Let's go. Let's talk about this week in WWE, as it is a SummerSlam week. Let's get into SmackDown, which again was not the best episode in the world, but we'll talk about it here as it came to us from Oakland, California. And if you want a full rundown of SmackDown, you can check out Amanda's review that I posted yesterday on the feed. So Adam Pearce and Nick Aldis were in the ring. And we had Adam Pearce welcome fans to SmackDown and said there were a couple of terms and conditions that needed to be made clear. Pearce introduced Gunther, who made his entrance, and he said that he would take over the SmackDown GM duties the moment that Aldis signed the contract. He said there is also a hold harmless agreement, and Aldis said he knows exactly what he was signing, and if that meant relinquishing his executive responsibilities, then so be it. Well, was it made clear if this is permanent, or is this just so long as the Gunther match goes, right? Does he get reinstated as the SmackDown GM, whether he wins or loses the match? I wasn't clear on that. So I'm not sure, but I maybe it sounds permanent. But Gunther said SummerSlam would be the greatest moment of Aldis' career, and that he was preparing to win the WWE Championship at SummerSlam, and the only reason he was there was because Aldis doesn't know how to do his job. And Gunther said Aldis has had an issue with him ever since he arrived, and that Aldis is jealous of him, and that Aldis is a former NWA world champion, but he never really made it as a wrestler because he dreamed of being a WWE superstar. Yeah, don't you love how they brand wrestler as superstar? It's all marketing. But Gunther said he walked into WWE and got it all. He said he got the titles, the records, and is a multi-millionaire. And Gunther said his watch is worth half of Aldis' yearly salary, and that Aldis would join Cena, AJ Styles, and Goldberg as people dumb enough to get in the ring with him. And he said he would retire Aldis before it really gets started. This was the money line, though. This is a great line. One of the few highlights of SmackDown. Aldis said that Gunther can talk about Cena, Styles, and Goldberg, but he hasn't had a match in 3 years, and he has nothing to lose. And then he said, quote, "But when I beat you at SummerSlam, you go from the career killer to the man who got made a bitch by his boss." Great stuff. Great. And yes, this ended with some physicality, Aldis getting some punches in, but he got put through a table. Good stuff. I mean, I was really hopeful Gunther would be doing something other than facing Nick Aldis. No disrespect to Nick. But Gunther, after you retire John Cena, or rather you beat him in his retirement match, I want to make sure that's clear. You did retire AJ Styles and you beat Goldberg in his retirement match. See the difference? That you would have something much bigger prepared for Gunther, like a world championship. He's absolutely right. But okay. Nonetheless, good stuff. Good. Aldis had some great mic work. He's coming out of his semi-retirement being a GM. And as good as Aldis was in that role, Adam Pearce is a really fine to very good GM. If we're going to see Adam Pearce running both shows, I mean, Godspeed to him. That's a lot of work. I know he's not truly the GM in real life, but still, it's a lot of work to make sure you're on air. You're traveling twice as much. We're adding at least another day to your travel schedule. It's still more in your on your plate. So Adam Pearce, geez, if he's doing this now full time, Godspeed. But Nick Aldis, if he's transitioning to a wrestler full time, I am very curious to see how that works. I have seen some of his work in TNA. He is a long running champion there. He looks good. And he's got a great voice, great look. He does look like James Bond. He just has it all. So perhaps this is lightning in a bottle. And I fully expect Gunther to be taken to the limit by Nick Aldis. I do. Nick Aldis is in incredible shape. If you haven't seen what's underneath that suit, go take a look. It's impressive. So, I mean, this was as good as it could be. Credit to both of the men here. I mean, it's as exciting, I think, as it could be, given that Gunther's facing his boss. Okay. Adam Pearce was about to go into the trainer's room to check on, this is a fantastic segment here. Again, one of the few highlights. But he was going to check on, Aldis was going to, I'm sorry. Adam Pearce was going to check on Aldis, but Zayn stopped him. And Zayn told Pearce to make it right by adding him to the WWE Championship match. He pushed for a triple threat, but Pearce told him that the match would be Punk and Cody. And there would be a 4-way tonight with Damian, Trick, Royce, and Finn Balor. And the winner of the match will face Zayn in a number 1 contenders match at SummerSlam. Zayn complained that the 4 wrestlers, and this is just, thank God. I love when logic is brought to the forefront here. It's amazing what logic can do to bring you in when you're thinking it at home and the most obvious stuff is not mentioned. It's really nice when it's brought to the forefront to not insult our intelligence. And here's what Zayn said. It's not a quote, but paraphrasing. He said that the 4 wrestlers merely just had to be mentioned by Punk to get their opportunity. He vented about Punk and Cody until Pierce said, take it or leave it. But he said also that all Punk had to do was sit home for 3 months, wait for an opportunity to fall out of the sky, simply say when, and he gets an opportunity at the championship. It's absurd. Then it is absurd. Zayn has to scratch and claw, and yet Punk just mentions their name and they get added to this. It's awesome. Thank you. That's a great point by Sami Zayn, and one that it really should not be something that's uncommonly done here, is logic brought in. I know that sometimes logic is the kryptonite of professional wrestling storytelling, but sometimes you just have to bring it out. Okay, so good, really good stuff here. So Zayn accepts. So it'll be Zayn versus Finn Balor in a match that happens later on in the night. But so Sami Zayn's going to take on Finn Balor. The winner of that match will be named number 1 contender. Now, again, you could say, well, what happened to the rematch? Zayn should be afforded a rematch. Well, yeah, in the old days, but sometimes they implement that. Sometimes they don't. At one point, we were told that that's antiquated to have an automatic rematch, and other times it's just ignored or it is just assumed that that's going to happen. So it's a kind of cherry picking type of policy by WWE when they decide whether or not somebody gets an opportunity at the championship after they've lost the belt. Very, very cherry picking type of policy there. But all right. Brie Bella was in the ring, and who cares? I mean, I just don't care about the Bellas. It gets worse, yes. But Brie Bella took on Lainey Reed, and this went 5 minutes and 40 seconds with Brie winning after she she got a pin for the win, which is essentially she rolled her into a pin after Brie went for a sunset flip. She sat down on her, held the ropes for leverage, but then the referee caught her, and then Brie used her legs to get the victory. After the match, Fatal Influence attacks Brie and Paige. And hallelujah. Oh, the heavens have opened as Nikki Bella runs down and helps her sister and Paige. And Nikki hit the rack attack and got on the mic and said, "You 3 bitches." Okay. If you thought they could sneak up from the minor leagues and attack my sister and I, then why don't you face us at SummerSlam? Okay. So it's 3-on-3. Paige needs to get the fuck out of the Bellas group. They are dragging her down to the depths of hell. Now I understand there's a reaction for the Bellas, and the Bellas are not, I mean, as all honesty at the forefront here, they aren't the worst wrestlers in the world, but they have a sense of entitlement that is so off-putting, and they are their biggest fans. They think there's some organic need or want by the fans to have them on the show. They think there's some trailblazing team. They're not. The women's division would have done just fine without them. So whatever. I mean, I feel bad for Paige in this situation. I need Paige as a single star. She doesn't get any mic time. She's very good on the mic. Paige does not belong in this group. She's done essentially nothing. And she won the tag team championships. She's been invisible. She's been invisible with Brie Bella. They have no chemistry at all. And now they're going to team with the Bellas. Now, you could argue, what about the Bellas turning heel? Attacking Paige? Yeah, sure. You want to turn the Bellas heel, I'm all for it. But it's really, to me, the focus is Paige and how she has just been totally wasted since her return. All right. So we get some Chelsea Green and Kiana James qualifier for the ladder match for the interim WWE Women's Championship at SummerSlam. And it was quick. Chelsea Green beats Kiana James in 3.5 minutes to qualify. So, okay, fine. I mean, this match was not interesting. It just wasn't. But we have some backstage stuff with Cody. But in the interest of time, I'm going to move on. Cody and Punk have a promo segment. Really wasn't the best here. They didn't stumble or bumble or make no sense. But let me just kind of paraphrase some of the stuff they said here as a reminder. Punk said it was a damn shame where they were at right now. He said he didn't want to turn his back on his friend or drop down to pick up a mic because Cody might kick him in the teeth. And Cody said he needs to beat Punk for himself and that there doesn't need to be another reason other than the title, but he was all ears. And he said, I don't like you. And that's Cody to Punk. And he said he just had someone, Damian Priest, tell him they are tired of the same faces. He said there's a reason he was on Fallon's show and why he'll be on ESPN this Thursday. Cody said he went from being the one who knocks to being the one they knock for, and it was a list of one. That's not something you say as a babyface, Cody, if that's what you're trying to keep him as. Cody said the WWE has the greatest roster ever. I'll get this out. Cody said WWE has the greatest roster ever assembled in a wrestling company. And he said, hats off to Nick Khan and Triple H. Oh, really? If it's the greatest roster in WWE history, is that just what's the evidence for that? In what way, Cody? You're telling me it's better than when we had Stone Cold Steve Austin, The Rock, The Undertaker, yes, Triple H when he was active, Kane, Big Show, Mankind. Do I go on? You had the women's division. Yes, it was Chyna. You had Jacqueline. You had Ivory. What exactly was better? The ratings? They certainly weren't better than they are now. So I don't know. I know that he's trying to put over the company, put over Nick Khan. Nick Khan doesn't know what the fuck he's doing. Nick Khan, what does Nick Khan know? He knows how to. He obviously is a successful businessman, but he doesn't know how to run a wrestling company. He has no idea. His plan is, let's bring in celebrities. Yeah, that sounds like a great idea, Nick. And as a tangent, you know what I did? I Googled the number of people that were involved in WWE on camera in a storyline, or maybe even as a performing somebody's entrance music. This is just over the last 2 years. All right. What do we have? 23 celebrities? Some of these major roles. You want me to go down the list real quick? Here, I'll give you some. If you're like, there's no way. Really? And this isn't the camera shots. I'm not talking about the camera shots in the crowd, which are annoying as fuck as it is. Ready? Jelly Roll. Yeah, I think we're all really have had our fill of him. Pun intended. Travis Scott. Beloved Hall of Famer, future WWE Hall of Famer Travis Scott. Little Yachty. And yeah, I know he's now a mainstay with Trick Williams, but he's, to me, I mean, I find no value in him. But Joe Jonas, The Wonder Years. Yes, again, I talked about the Las Vegas Mass Choir. This is what AI kind of put in, and I understand that they're more of performative from music perspective, and I get it. But let's continue. I Show Speed. Pat McAfee. Stephen A. Smith. Tony Hinchcliffe. Tyrese Halliburton, Jalen Brunson, Karl Anthony Towns, the Kelseys, Jason and Travis, George Kittle, Michael Chandler, Logan Paul, O'Shea Jackson Jr., and there's more. So I don't want to hear that, well, they know what they're doing. Really? This is your strategy, Nick? To bring in celebrities into stories that you believe don't carry enough weight or feel that they'll get enough attention without bringing celebrities into the mix, totally disregarding that wrestling fans are going to look at this and say, what the fuck are you doing? Do we need Tom Brady and Logan Paul to have a face-off at SummerSlam? Who is looking for this? This is a sign of desperation. It's a sign of a lack of confidence in your current roster. And they continue to do this. This is not a one-off, test it out and see if it works. No, they feel that this is some kind of long-term strategy to bring in these celebrities. And some of them have actually worked out. Very few. Logan Paul has shown his weight in gold. Okay, absolutely. But who else? Who else has come out of the woodwork to provide any kind of memorable moment for us? Name one. Minus Logan Paul. Jelly Roll? In what way? Okay, he ends up doing a couple of moves, and I appreciate that, but we could have easily gone through WrestleMania season without him. In fact, the tag team match with him and Pat McAfee was canceled because of the insane backlash from fans, deservingly so. So that told you that your paying customer had no interest in seeing him. We obviously know how Pat McAfee worked out in one of the worst executed storylines, really one of the biggest flubs you've ever seen in professional wrestling. You have two guys with 50 years of experience between them, with a built-in story going back decades that you barely touched on, and feel that they don't have enough momentum going into WrestleMania, so you bring in Pat McAfee that we've gone over and hammered many times. It's a disgrace. It's a disgrace. Okay. Yeah, today's a little bit of a rant session. Bring on the comments. It's all good. All right. So, whatever. We have Punk kind of talk about him. He reiterated some of the same lines he did in his pipe bomb promo. Whatever. I mean, I didn't feel it with this one. They barely even talked about their history. What are we doing? What's the story here? I understand Punk and Cody are a potential WrestleMania main event that they're giving to us now. And the match itself is going to be fine. It's going to be really good because these are two guys that know what the hell they're doing. They're veterans. Decades of experience between them. We know there's not going to be a problem. But what about the story here? Is there one? Is it just manufactured tension? What's the story? They can't tell us. Well, it's Punk and Cody, of course. Well, okay. But, okay, you have these two megastars, your two biggest baby faces in the company. Many people believe that could have been a WrestleMania 43 main event. You put them together, and what is the story? How are we supposed to feel? Why are these two fighting? Because Punk said when? That's it? What the fuck happened to storytelling? This is not storytelling. This is telling these two guys, and this is not their fault. Hey, we really need to sell tickets. Do your best and just, sell the show. That sounds like what we got here. Because there's no real direction they're going. You could argue, well, okay, maybe they're setting up for a Cody heel turn, and I God bless, I hope they do. But I don't feel anything for this story. Do you? Does anybody feel for this and going, oh, well, I totally get why so-and-so's doing this, and I really hope that Cody wins because of this. Nobody really wants to see Cody win as a 4-time champion. We know he's eccentrically boring as a champion. CM Punk, he's champion, but he came out of nowhere after 3 months, got an opportunity on a brand he doesn't belong, wins the championship. And they did that because they didn't trust Sami Zayn to carry the championship into SummerSlam. And you're going to see this pattern continue from big PLE to big PLE, where championships just change hands because WWE is concerned that they'll get embarrassed by the lack of ticket sales. This is not something that's going to just go away. You're not going to see a lot of up-and-coming stars hold the championship for very long, especially when it comes up to a big PLE and they need to sell tickets. And by the way, SummerSlam tickets at $25 and they're still not selling out. That's embarrassing. And you may hate, well, if WWE is pressed they would probably say, well, I don't get it. What the hell's wrong with the fans? They were complaining about the ticket prices. We load ticket prices and they still don't buy them. Yeah. Okay. Again, the biggest factor is you guys are a cold product right now. People wouldn't go for free. You know why? Again, beyond the storytelling, and that's a number one problem, is you guys just don't have a hot product. Your star power is lacking. But perhaps there's more costs associated with going and stresses that come with going than just the damn ticket to walk in the building. There's a lot of expenses that go with it that people have to invest into. Their time, they got to take time off work, most people. They got to buy an airline ticket or travel and pay for gas to get there, neither of which are exactly cheap right now. You got to pay for food, ancillary expenses, merch, hotels. Yeah, even if you're going to reduce the ticket price to $25, you think that's enough to entice people? Why? If you're sitting there as an exec scratching your head and feeling you got trolled by the fans, where you finally lowered the ticket prices, you bowed to the fans' complaints, and then they still don't buy them, perhaps there's a bigger issue. What's the issue? I just told you. 2 big factors: money and a cold product. That's it. All right. Maybe make a video on that. Let's kind of wrap this up. Charlotte and Nia Jax in a qualifier for the ladder match. 8 minutes where Charlotte wins and ends because Jade comes in and just punches Flair. And you talk about someone else that's cold. God dang. Charlotte. What happened to her? And I actually like her look. I like that she cut her hair. Makes her feel fresh. Kind of rebranded. The softening of her character because of Alexa Bliss is really nice. What's going on? She needs some kind of boost in the ass. Fans don't react to her. I mean, like, at all. And this isn't just San Diego or where. Like, this is many months now. Charlotte Flair needs to come back to singles competition, as does Paige. I like Jade and Lash Legend. I'm sorry, Nia and Lash Legend. I like them as a team. Jade and B-Fab and Michin, I mean, they have really kind of stalled. I wouldn't say they're on the decline or incline. They're just kind of plateaued. So I'm not sure really where the women's division's going right now. As a whole, the women's division is stagnant. Very much stagnant. No one seems to be white hot. You have your biggest women's star out because of injury, and that's obviously nothing you can control. It's just bad luck. But who's hot in the women's division? Who is the money maker for the women right now? I don't know. Stephanie Vaquer, who might come back? Is it Liv Morgan? She hasn't really got any mic time as of late. Her and Io Sky have been trading punches for like the last 4 months. Charlotte Flair is just kind of there. People look at her as, I don't even know. There's just almost no reaction for her. Jade, she's stuck in this group where she is now giving some rub to younger stars, but she's not really doing much of her own other than, okay, it's now her attacking Charlotte, which you thought at one point would be a WrestleMania main event. Alexa gets injured. Maybe Naomi? Can Naomi come back and help shake things up? Fatal Attraction is, I mean, they haven't done much. I don't know. And I told you guys, I warned you up front, this is not going to be a very positive review heading into SummerSlam. But the good thing is, coming out, I think we will be very pleasantly surprised about SummerSlam, because the wrestlers are going to kick ass. They always do. All right, Fatal 4-Way for the number one contendership to face Sami Zayn. Finn Balor wins. And it's because Jacob Fatu shows up, pulls Keys out of the ring, and he beat Keys and hit him with a hip attack and did his little gyrations and tried to, I don't know. I'm not a fan of Fatu, but Balor hits Priest with a shotgun dropkick. Coup de grace, gets the victory. And fine. You Sami Zayn and Finn Balor are going to put on a great matchup, depending, of course, on how many minutes they're given. They'll do their best, but they're going to put on a great matchup. They can't not. They don't know how to put on a bad match. Both are insanely talented. The question is, of course, who's going to win? That's a hell of a question. Because you could have interference here. You could have Sammy get screwed again. But if Finn wins, okay, Finn's going to face who? Cody? Punk? Both? It gets very interesting, and we'll kind of wrap this into a bow and talk about this a little more later this week. The analysis I'm reading, too, from a big wrestling website is overall, while there were some SummerSlam developments, it was a frustrating show due to there being so many commercials airing even during brief matches. I'm not a match junkie, but they really went overboard. Yeah, you think? I mean, WWE just and TKO are the most outwardly and unashamed money-hungry company I have ever seen in the history of my existence. They're just, I mean, they don't even care. But they should. They're now reaping what they sow. They're being embarrassed by ticket sales. They're getting hammered online. They're doing everything they can, like partnering, I'll say that, partnering with Sam Roberts' podcast, Busted Open. Who's the other guy that's on ESPN? Peter Rosenberg's show, Cheap Heat or whatever he does. They're partnering with him, all of which have ties to WWE. If you, again, putting it under that banner, on top of creating the Unreal show, all of them, all of this, all these actions are designed to try to make the general viewer feel a certain way about WWE. They're trying to control the uncontrollable, and all these outlets that they had no control over, they're trying to buy out, essentially, not purchase, but throw some money at to create a relationship where they get to control the narrative. That's what they're doing. And they're producing Unreal, only letting you see what they want you to see. It is produced. Of course it is. That's what this is all about. All right. So, damn. I really didn't even talk about Raw. Raw was horrible. Yeah, guys, I know. It's all you do is bitch and complain. Yeah, you know what? I told you right at the top of the show. If you're looking for a bullshit show that gives you just this fluff garbage that pats WWE on the back undeservingly or completely manufactured reactions, you're looking, and you're most likely listening to the wrong show. You just are. Don't waste your time. I will give credit where it's due, and I tried to find a few things that I liked. And I think I'll come out of SummerSlam generally probably feeling good, because the wrestlers and this card should deliver. But the build has been garbage. It's been horrible. And moreover, the attitude and actions from TKO executives are abhorrent. You should be insulted. You really should. All right. I've got nothing to say about Raw. Raw was bad. I did not enjoy Raw. We had some Danhausen stuff. Obafemi just cutting more promos without Brock there. We had Chad Gable win, and so he'll challenge for the Intercontinental title. And, Chad Gable is actually a bright spot on the show. So I will say that. I enjoyed Chad Gable, even though they have completely neutered him because he went on the apology tour, which I've talked about many times, and I hope he's done with that. So, yeah, it was just not a good week. So hopefully next week's better in the final build heading up to SummerSlam. And I hope you guys enjoyed the show. If not, I don't know what to tell you. I just don't know what to say. I'm not going to apologize for it. And That's fine. If you guys want a softer show, I can list a whole bunch of them for you. If you want all those reaction streamers, you can go and listen to them and watch them react to everything on TikTok or Instagram or whatever. But I'll leave it there. If you guys want to join me on Patreon and go ad free, patreon.com/WWE podcast. All right, guys, I'll be back later this week with a lot more videos and preview and predictions for SummerSlam. We'll talk soon.
Thanks for listening to the WWE podcast. Don't forget to subscribe on your favorite podcast app so you don't miss a show, or head to WWEpodcast.com. And for all of these shows ad-free, head over to patreon.com/WWE podcast. Until then, we'll see you next time.